Hello guys, this is Paul McWhorter from TopTechBoy.com, and we're here today live with episode number 51 in our live Shop Talk series. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it has been a while since we've had a live stream, but we're going to try to do one this morning, this very early morning here in my location. I actually had to get up at 4 in the morning to get ready for this live stream, and it's now 5:30 a.m. Let me know where you guys are. Let me know if you're online, where you are, what time it is there. Let's see, we've got Philippe. Welcome, Philippe. Good to have you here. Who else is out there? You guys say hello from Jack Crowther from Tennessee. Welcome. Philippe is from Dallas, Texas, the Big D. Who else is out there today? You guys let me know where you're from. Brachi, hello from Penn. Penn, is that Pennsylvania? Or let me know what Penn is. Is it the penitentiary? Okay, Nelson, Jonathan, 9:30 on the East Coast. Will, Martin, hello from Ohio, Pennsylvania. Okay, good. I thought maybe it was penitentiary. Texas, Michigan, Kansas, Houston, USA, New Orleans, China. All right, welcome from China. And then Scott is from Arizona. I love seeing where you guys are from. We've got some people from India. What time is it in India right now? Got Arethisos from Dallas, some guys from the Philippines, Florida, Topeka. Wow, we've got people from all over. Okay, it's 8 a.m. in India, so that seems to be kind of workable. You know, sort of the challenge that I have in scheduling these live streams, you've noticed that we've sort of haven't had many live streams since since I made the move to Africa. And kind of the challenge is coming up with wow, Philippe, my goodness, thank you so much. I don't have my little bell, but I would be ringing the bell. Man, really appreciate the super chats, you guys. One of the challenges that I have here is one of my biggest expenses is the generator, and the diesel from the generator costs me about $5 an hour to run that generator, and the electricity on most days is not working. And so I rack up a good fuel bill. So I used to put all the super chats in terms of coffee. I now put the super chats in terms of hours of diesel that I get. So Philippe, you just kept my generator running for quite some time. Hey, I am drinking iced coffee this early morning. I get the coffee from the most excellent top of Mount Elgon. I trek up Mount Elgon, and there are some really wonderful coffee growers there. And I can buy, let's say, 100 pounds of unroasted beans for, I don't know. They don't cost much at all. Maybe $1 a pound or 50 cents a pound for the unroasted beans. And then I bring them back and then I roast them up. And my goodness, this is good coffee. So I salute the most excellent coffee growers at CP Falls on the top of Mount Elgon. Okay, guys, looks like we've got a really nice turnout here. We've got quite a few people, but again, the challenge that I have is coming up with a time to schedule these because, like I say, right now here in my location, it is 5:33 a.m. That's pretty darn early for me. And also to get the live stream ready to go, I have to get up. I had to get up this morning at about 4:30 to get it working. But looking at you guys, okay, Jackson, Ireland, 2:30. Wow, that is not a very convenient time. But it seems like from what I'm hearing from you guys that even on the East Coast, it is early enough that you could watch this. And then on the West Coast in the United States, it would just be even easier to watch. And then if you are sort of in my vertical time zone, it looks like maybe India, it's pretty convenient. So we're able to cover India and most of the United States. Sounds like this would not be a very convenient time for our friends in Ireland or our friends in the UK. But it seems like my choice is either to have it very early in the morning, my time, which is sort of late evening in the US, or I could do it sort of towards the end of the day here where I am, which would be in the morning in the US. But the challenge with that would really be a lot easier for me, because afternoon I could get the stream set up and get everything ready to go and launch it, and it would work for me, for people in the United States. But the challenge with that particular configuration would be that in the evening my internet connection just becomes very spotty, because people are coming home, everyone is checking their email and doing their web browsing and so forth, and so my internet connection just becomes very, very strained in the evening, and in the early morning no one is on it, so it's like I'm kind of like the only one here on the internet, so I get a really good connection. So if this would work for you guys, this would be the time that would probably work about the best for me. Okay, Pakistan 7:30 a.m. that would work. Pennsylvania 9:34. That's getting a little bit late. Canada 9:30. Okay. Hey, David from Dallas. James from Singapore. What time is it in Singapore? Hey, Albuquerque, New Mexico. Man, I lived in Albuquerque, New Mexico for 20 years, and I really miss the smell of the roasting green chilies in the air in the fall, and the smell of the pinon firewood burning and the balloon fiesta. I have many, many wonderful memories of wonderful memories of Albuquerque, New Mexico. Okay, guys, what I am hoping to do today, besides just kind of telling you guys hello, is to talk a little bit about the channel and talk a little bit about what our plans are for 2022 on this channel. And also sort of what the plans are for the next few weeks. Okay. Now, what you guys know is that I've been releasing 3 videos a week. And the way that I've been releasing 3 videos a week is, before I left Texas, I'd made like a year's worth of videos on the 3D Python topic. And the reason I did that is I figured when I got to Africa, I would not really know or be sure how long it would take me to get my studio up and running and functioning. A lot of the stuff I shipped over on a shipping container, and I just didn't want to go dark or go, completely silent for an indeterminate period of time as I was getting my studio set up. So I made like a year's worth of videos and had them kind of queued up, where even if in the worst scenario, you would always be getting one new lesson a week, and I would kind of keep the channel active. Well, when I got over here, I was actually able to get my studio set up a lot quicker than I thought. So then I started the AI for Everyone series of lessons. And the way that's gone is I will release a new lesson on Tuesday, and then that new lesson will have a homework assignment. And then Wednesday, the 3D Python lesson came out. And then Thursday, I would give another lesson on AI for Everyone, giving the homework solution. And so I was able to kind of maintain a schedule of delivering 3 videos a week, because 1 video was already made. Now, what I am finding right now is, especially there's just a whole lot going on right now. And also we're sort of entering that Christmas season, and you've got a lot of stuff going on there. And I'm in the process of moving into our new home, which is just now getting finished. And as I'm moving into the home, I'm going to need to move my studio over there. And so sort of like we're really, really getting to the really important and fun part of our AI for Everyone class. And then also on the 3D Python class, we're now to the point that we are starting the interaction between Python and Arduino. Okay. And so right at the point that I'm the very busiest that you could imagine, I've got the really, really important stuff coming up in both of those series of classes. And so what I am going to suggest is that I am going to not post for the next few weeks for the remainder of December. And I will start putting out new videos the first week or the second week of January. And that will give me the time to sit and focus and do a really, really good job job on those things, because I don't want to just slap something together and have it not be absolute the best quality possible, because I'm trying to get moved into the new house, and I'm trying to get the studio moved over there, and I'm trying to manage all the, you know, festivities associated with the Christmas season. So how does that sound to you guys? Does that sound like that it would be workable if we took a little break here? And you guys are really busy too in the, you know, in the Christmas season, and everybody's got a lot of stuff going on. And so, you know, I just worry also if I'm releasing videos, you guys are going to be distracted with a lot of other things. So how does it sound if we took a little break from releasing the videos? I'll still be working on making them and getting things figured out and getting queued up for the next year. But if we took a little break and just started releasing videos in the first or second week of January, maybe also in the interim, I could be trying to do some live streaming. Philippe says, good. Glad to hear it. You guys give me some feedback on what I'm suggesting. Are you going to get angry if we go the rest of December without seeing some new lessons? Okay, Will says it sounds good. Okay, that sounds like I'm getting some feedback that would work. And I think sometimes if you, okay, Jack is saying that sounds good. Okay, sounds like you guys are okay with that. And all right, and so I appreciate the great feedback. And what I will do is I can try to maybe have some live streams in there like we're doing now, because live streams, they don't take the same level of preparation, right? We can just sit and chat. It's also a chance for me to answer your questions. But I think you know, when I was moving to Africa, a lot of the things I was kind of prepared for. I was prepared for, you know, the issues of you don't really have any infrastructure, like there's no police, there's no ambulances, there's no real modern medical infrastructure. There's nothing like grocery stores. You know, you go to a little market and there's a lady sitting on a mat with a cabbage and you buy her cabbage from her, or the next lady on a mat has onions. And so I was kind of prepared for all of that. The thing that I am finding about the most challenging, though, is just how hard it is to get any type of hardware over here. There are no Home Depots, Walmarts, big box stores. There's not even any like what you would think simple mom and pop hardware stores. And so almost anything that you do becomes a very big challenge. And so like if you've got like a little hose on your toilet, you can't go to the store and buy a washer. So what you end up doing is you end up buying an inner tube and you end up cutting out your washer yourself. Or like what I'm finding is as we're finishing up the house, you can't just go down to the hardware store and buy pulls, handles for the drawers and the cabinets and the doors on your cabinets. And so we actually had to get a blacksmith, and the blacksmith is hand forging. The blacksmith is hand forging all of the handles for the doors and the cabinetry and the drawers in the house. And so each one of these is handmade one at a time. I actually think they're very elegant. I love them. I love that old world craftsmanship that goes into this. They're sort of rugged yet elegant. So I really love them. But just imagine every little thing that you're going to do, you've got to kind of build it by hand or find someone that can build it by hand. And so we have a nice shop here on the compound. Someday maybe I can take you on a tour of the shop, but in a shipping container I bought some really, really nice woodworking equipment. And so now what we're going to start doing is we're going to start making the furniture for the house. So we're going to move into the house and it's going to be kind of sparse as far as furniture goes, and then we will start building the furniture. But all this just being said, that things are very difficult, and things that are easy in the United States, you just run down to Home Depot and you buy a bag of handles. Here it becomes very challenging. So it seems like just the simple things in life here take a lot of time. And then I'm very cognizant of wanting to keep the channel active and keep the channel moving. And so what I thought would be a little bit more relaxing actually turns out to be we are very, very, very busy here. Okay, got some questions coming in. Yeah, customized handles. Yeah, I really do like them. I really think that, you simply would not be able to get something like this in the United States. I mean, these would probably, I would think in the United States to have something like this built, you would probably be paying $100 per, you would be being probably paying $100 per handle. Let's see. PDX is asking, does it cost more to build here? Actually, it's very affordable to build here because everything is built from locally available materials. And so the bricks are made of mud, and the mud is local. And so if you're going to build a house, the first thing you do is build the bricks. Then the windows you have to build from scratch. And so our blacksmith that made these handles, he made every window in the house. So he custom forged every window in the house. Now, the thing is here, though, you're very concerned about security. So you have sort of decorative panels that are also security, so a person couldn't come through the window and catch you off guard. So you have those on the windows. But the nice thing is, because I'm on the equator, and on the equator, I mean on the equator, I think I'm like maybe 3 miles from the equator. I'm like at a very small fraction of a degree off the equator. Very nice weather year round. In the daytimes, it's the mid 70s. At nighttime, it's the mid 60s. So that means I don't need a heater and I don't need an air conditioner, and therefore I don't need insulation. So the windows are just single pane glass, and they are built by a welder, and so that's very affordable. The construction is very simple. You make the mud bricks, and then the walls just go up as mud bricks, and then you put these periodically, you put these rings, these concrete rebar reinforced concrete rings. They're called ring beams to give structural support to the house. But you don't have timber, you don't have studs, you don't have sheetrock, then you don't have the taping of the sheetrock and all of that sort of stuff. So really, the construction here is very, very, very affordable. And so probably a house that would cost $1 million in the United States would be here $100,000 or under, because the labor is very affordable here, and the craftsmanship is very affordable. But you have to adapt to the local building expertise. If you try to say, oh, I want to build a house like in the United States, the skill is just not going to be here. And so part of being successful here in building a house is building it, build a nice house, but build it based on the fabrication skills that actually exist here. So anyway, maybe next live stream I'll put together some pictures of our house, or maybe we can do a walkthrough at some point and see the nice studio that I'm going to be putting together over there. But what I want to do sort of between now and the end of the year is get my studio moved over there and get the studio up and running. By over there, it's like 50 meters away from where I am here. But right now we're kind of staying in the guest house, what's going to be the guest house, and then we will be moving into the main house. Okay. Hey, Leonardo from Brazil, welcome. And Guardian Presence Robotics. Okay, great. Glad that you learned Arduino. But as far as the other future part of the channel, as we're moving towards next year, what I would really like to do is I would really like to try to get back to some of our roots where we're doing more in the area of hardware, because this last year, 2021, most of that year was 3D Python, how to do 3D models, 3D graphics in Python, and it was the AI for everyone. And both of those are, hey, Pascal, welcome. Great to see you. Glad you could join us. So a lot of it was the 3D graphics for Python and Visual Python, and then it was the AI for everyone. And so that kind of went really, really, really to the software side. And so what I would like to do is I would like to get back and start doing more hardware stuff. And so what I've done on that series of lessons, you guys that are following along on the 3D Python lessons, I've released the first video of the part where we're going to combine that with Arduino. But with that, I've renamed and restarted the numbering of the classes. So lesson 1 in Python with Arduino is really like lesson 28 in the series on the 3D Python. But what we're going to start doing is we're going to start combining the Arduino with the Python to do some really cool stuff. And I really see the same thing happening in the AI class, where we start combining the artificial intelligence in the Python. We start combining that with the Arduino so that we're interacting with things in the real world, because that's what the Arduino does really well, is it does and connects and interacts with things in the real world really, really well. Oh, Alexander, thank you. Well, send my love back to you as well, Alexander. And Arlo, I'm sorry that you didn't know we were on, but I'm glad that you would be able to, join us. The other thing that I would really like to be able to do in 2022 is I would like to kind of start again, maybe redo those Fusion 360 classes and do some stuff with 3D printing. The problem is I don't have a 3D printer here, and getting a 3D printer here would be pretty hard. And so, hey, Josh, wow, thank you so much. That's a huge encouragement. You just gave me an hour of power on my generator. That'll get me diesel for keeping my generator running for an hour. So really appreciate that. But the problem is that for me to do a series of lessons on a 3D printer, I would need to have two 3D printers. And the reason I got to have two 3D printers is I can't just open up a box that I haven't seen before and make a video of how to put it together. I've got to figure out how to put it together. So I got to have one that I learn on, and then the second one that I video to sort of show you the build. And also, it just doesn't work. You can't put it together and then take it back apart and then build it a second time, because then it doesn't ever go back in the box the way it was. And so I really need to do that. I would need to get two 3D printers over here. It would need to be a 3D printer that's available on Amazon, and something I'm thinking kind of like, it seems like now you can get workable printers for about $250. And so when I look at it, two 3D printers would come to $500, and then say 10 rolls of filament would probably be another getting close to $500, and so that would be like $1,000. And then the shipping and the duty to get things in here would be, hey, Kalisha, thank you so much. Cole, really, really appreciate that. Gave me an hour of power on the generator. So I'm looking, it would probably be, to get two 3D printers delivered over here, we would be looking at about $2,000. And the thing is, I just don't really know whether there is the interest out there on that or not. Also, I'm hearing reports on Fusion 360 that they continue to kind of scale back what's available in the free version of it. And so what I really don't know is Fusion 360 still a viable home development platform for people working with 3D printers? Now, unfortunately, I was so close. There was a company a manufacturer that was going to send me two 3D printers and 10 rolls of filament, but when they saw what the shipping charge was, they really kind of balked on it, and they couldn't quite stomach the amount that it was going to cost. I think it was a mistake for them, because, man, if you guys knew how many of these Elegoo super starter kits have been sold from my side. I mean, that first Arduino video has gotten over 1 million views, and you can imagine that people that are watching that series or are ordering kits, that providing me with hardware is going to pay for itself 1 million times over. Hey, IME TV, thank you so much. Really, really appreciate that. Just gave me 2 hours. Two hours of generator time of diesel. Okay, so hey, Pino, appreciate that. Really, really appreciate that. So I think it was a mistake for that company to balk on it, because they would have made that back 10 times over. But what I'm thinking about doing is I'm thinking about continuing going to try to negotiate with, I'm thinking about trying to continue to negotiate and see if there is a seller on Amazon that would hook a brother up and send me over here and pay the shipping for 2 3D printers. And then if if those printers were good ones, I would recommend them to you guys, and we could maybe do a series on, on the 3D printers and on learning CAD, because the Fusion 360 lessons I've done have gotten a little bit old. So I would like to redo those. So if you guys have any connections with 3D printer companies and would like to hook me up, make an introduction, that would be great. There was a couple that were interested, but they were Kickstarters, and they had sort of wanted to send me samples. But the problem with Kickstarter is I really haven't had really good luck with Kickstarter, and I don't want to put something on this channel and recommend it to you when it's in the Kickstarter stage, because if it's a flop, then everybody's got printers with no support. And so I would like something that's already established, like something that's already being sold on Amazon, if that makes sense. Okay, we have really digressed, but kind of starting out, again, what I would like to do moving forward in the year is kind of get back to the hardware. And then also with getting back to the hardware, as I move over to the new studio, what I want to do is I want to improve my production quality. I think our production quality now is way, way, way better than what it was when we did that last series of Arduino tutorials. I think I have finally gotten my audio down. I've got good studio lights. I've got a great camera. I've got really, really good equipment. But the area that I still need to improve on is the shots of where I'm showing you my build. And the way that's actually kind of hard, that getting that shot is hard, because remember, I'm a one-man operation. I don't have anyone in the control room. And so kind of the way I've done it is I've taken one of these, I'm kind of tangled up with my cords here. I take one of these Logitech webcams, and then what I did was I had the Logitech webcam connected to like a coffee cup, taped to a coffee cup. And then as I was building, I would have the Logitech camera here. All right. And the problem is that that's not a very good shot for a build. So I really need like the camera up here so you can see the whole thing. But if the camera is up here, then you see what the problem is. It's blocking me. It's a distraction. It's in the main shots. You can't really have the camera up here. So when I did that robotics tutorial on that Elegoo smart car, what I did was, I couldn't be up here. So I just moved the camera forward out of the field of view, and then I shot it back this way. So I thought, oh, look at that. It's not in the way. And you can see the build. But this actually, and I hadn't thought about this, but it made people nauseous. And it made people nauseous because your mind is putting your eyes at the point of the camera. And since the camera is pulling back, it was making the person feel like that they were bent over, looking down and back, to where really they're upright, that their head is not in the position that the camera is telling them in. And it actually led people to get car sick and to get nauseous. And now I can kind of see that you really need to be, I think, overhead and shooting straight down. And the problem then is, you see, I am in the way, the camera is in the way. The other problem becomes that I would have is this Logitech camera would just periodically in the middle of every video decide not to focus. And so what I was always doing was having to put something in there trying to get the darn thing to focus right. Now today it seems to be doing a pretty good job focusing, but I was always struggling with this Logitech camera, getting it to focus correctly. And so what I have now is, I am happy to say, I have a much, much better camera than the Logitech. I have a very high-end Sony camcorder. The main camera that I'm using is a 4K Canon, like a very professional camera. So my main camera is a very good Canon camera. And then I
also now have a very good Sony camera. And what I want to do is I want to have this Sony camera mounted and then coming straight down. But what I could do is I could mount the Sony camera above the field of view of this camera, and then I could be shooting straight down, and then you could get just a really crystal clear, high contrast view of my shot. Also, what happens as you're trying to kind of come in and doing things from the top, you start, why is that not working?
I bet you guys could not hear me well there. I'm sorry, that microphone was not set up well, so I'm sorry that that audio wasn't good. But the other thing that happens when you are building down here, you start having a situation where your work area is not lit well. So I've ordered some supplemental lights. I've ordered some supplemental lights for the build system. Also, just kind of telling you the improvements that we're going to have in the studio. So I've got some mounts that I've ordered that will mount my better camera, so we'll get very, very good sharp overhead build. I've got supplemental lighting that will illuminate my build space. Also, one of the production things that kind of bothers me a little bit, you can see that I got the green screen behind me, but what the challenge is, if you look, the green screen isn't perfect and you can kind of see the silhouette around me. And a lot of times my hair is kind of going like this. And what the reason my green screen isn't doing better, I need lights behind me illuminating the green screen so that my shadow is not on the green screen, which is where the problem ends up. Let me see. Sometimes, a lot of times you can see, like a lot of times here, like you can see around the microphone some things that aren't looking very good, but with lights back there, it should make it work a lot better. So I've got supplemental lights ordered. I've got mounting systems and brackets and tripods where I can get much better shots of the build area when I'm doing hardware. And then I have got lighting for that. And then I have got just some other equipment that will be coming in that should take our production up to the next level, especially when I am showing you what I am building as we are trying to get back to hardware. And so when I make the next lessons for the AI for everyone, and when I make the next lessons for the 3D Python with Arduino, I am hoping to have all this new capability so that we take that production value up to the next level. Okay, let's look and see what some of the comments that we've had here. Let's see. Your Arduino has changed sources with the video. Oh, yeah. Okay, I'm sorry. I forgot that when I did that shot, I did it as a main shot, not a background shot. So I'm sorry that that audio was not good there for a second. Let's see. When you switch to, okay. Yeah, when I went to that other camera, it switched to the camera audio as opposed to the nice Blue Yeti here. And so that is what happened. Okay. Hey, Mike, the Grumpy Limey, welcome. Let's see. The Raspberry Pi high quality camera is pretty cheap, good, small, and tidy with manual focus on the lens. Yeah, actually, a good manual focus camera that I just had mounted would be really good. But I have the nice Sony camera and it really gives nice shots. And so it's just, I've got to get it mounted in the right spot. So I will be working on that. So we're going to have a nicer studio moving forward, and then we are going to really be trying to get back to hardware with our Arduino with Python lessons and with our AI for Everyone lessons. And then one of, Ticking Gamer, why don't you post on your other two channels? Yeah, it's just, I am sort of like so busy. I get up at 5 in the morning and I go full blast till 10 or 11 o'clock at night. And I haven't had a chance to get back to those other two channels. I would really like to do it, especially on, I'm renaming my prepper channel because I just don't like the word prepper. It carries too much baggage with it. I'm a prepper. I was a Boy Scout, be prepared, right? But it carries so much sort of like dark and sinister and sort of like pessimistic baggage. I'm renaming that channel like the Happy Homesteader, because I really like, what gets me all excited is being a homesteader. And I think homesteading and prepping are very different. So yeah, I should really get back to those and kind of do more about what I'm doing with organic gardening and the projects that I have with chickens. I'm fixing to start some rabbit projects, maybe some fish projects. And so I would love to get some stuff going there. But right now, trying to finish the construction that I've been doing here and keeping this channel alive, I just haven't been able to do anything on those other channels. But moving forward, we want to get back to our roots with the hardware on both the AI for Everyone and on the Python with Arduino series. And so we'll get going with that. And then the other thing is, I said, okay, I'd like to see if this year, if there was some opportunity, if I can solve this 3D printer problem, to start a new series on folding in 3D CAD design and 3D printing, and therefore, as we do hardware, be able to do the cases or the gears or the boxes or the hardware components to start making, maybe making our projects come alive and move around and do some stuff like that. I think would be pretty neat. And then the other thing is, I would just really like to do a class on STEM, because the STEM curriculum that is available in public schools is so lame. And it's like, there's no real science, there's no real technology, there is no real math. And these guys come in and they sell this bogus curriculum to the schools, and it's all flash, like, oh, you take this and you mix it with this, and then this foam sprays everywhere, and then all the kids go, ah, like that. It's just lame. There's no real understanding. Or you get this kit and you plug these little pre-cut wood pieces together and you make a little thing with a rubber band that goes across the floor. But man, there is such a need and such an interest and such a hunger for real STEM stuff. I would like to do a real STEM class where, I really put the math in with the programming, with the building the circuit, where you got to have the math to make the project work. But I'll teach you the math and I'll teach you the programming. I will teach you the physics, and then you do really, really cool stuff. And I think it would be really, really, really cool and needed and great. That is what I think is needed, and that is something that I could do a really good job on, and it's something that I would like to do. But I will be honest with you, the reason I'm kind of not sure about it is that the public schools are kind of very strange creatures, and they think that anything free isn't good. And so something could only be good as if you went and bought it from Cengate or Glencoe or one of the big textbook publishers or one of the big school providers, and they would charge a school $1 million for a curriculum that was just completely lame and completely bogus. But if you're offering something from a real engineer that's real engineering and real science and real technology and real math, and you're doing it for free on YouTube, then it couldn't be good. It's because it didn't come from Cengate or whatever the provider of curriculum to the public schools are. And so what I fear is, if I did this and I offered it for free, that schools wouldn't use it, because the public schools do not even have the sense to even understand really what STEM is. You guys give me feedback. Am I being too harsh here? I was 10 years in the public schools, and it's pretty bad. Okay, let me know what you guys think. Would a STEM class be useful? Do you think we could get any momentum that there would actually be schools or students that would benefit from it? Okay, a couple of you guys are saying that might be interesting. So we'll see about that and see where it goes. Currently in school for electrical engineering, should I make the change to computer science? Absolutely not. You want to be in electrical engineering, not computer science. Life in the computer science world is very, very hard because things change so quickly. You are always 2 weeks away from being completely obsolete. And engineering, man, and I know some of you guys are in computer science, and I'm not putting you down. I'm just saying it's a very, very hard thing to stay relevant in something that changes on an hourly basis like computer science. But man, the stuff that I learned back in the 70s and 80s on control systems, it is still there today. I could go in and I could do control system engineering. I know the math. I know how to do that. Digital logic, it's still the same. In engineering, you develop a skill set that will be relevant for the rest of your career. In computer science, it is this constant effort to stay ahead of a constantly changing world. And so I love programming, but I love programming in an engineering sense, not in a computer science sense. You guys tell me if that was offensive, what I just said, because I didn't mean to be it. I'm just saying I think engineering is a much more rewarding field than computer science. Okay, Philippe is saying that the system is broken. Yeah, so let's think about it. If any of you guys have any ideas, if I did a real STEM program, I'm not trying to sell it. I get so many offers to put my classes on Udemy or all these master classes or all these different paywalls. I'm not trying to put my stuff where I sell it, but if I make it, I want people to use it. And then if I made this really, really good STEM curriculum, what if we made a 4-year STEM curriculum that started with freshmen in high school and took them freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, where we folded the math into engineering and the science into engineering and really had a real STEM program? How would we get that introduced into the public school system where it isn't just some of us old guys sitting around having fun doing projects? Okay. Yeah, benefit, yes. Use doubtful. Okay, Baron, I think you sort of see the problem that I am up against. I would like to see more applications with calculus and technology. Okay, yeah, and really to me, engineering is calculus. I spent my life as an engineer, but really I spent my life solving calculus problems. And engineering for the stuff I was doing was really about setting up the differential equations and then solving them in sort of elegant and sophisticated ways where you aren't just going in and hammering it by simulating the differential equation using a digital computer, but you're actually solving it and then programming the simple solution. And so I would really love to get in and do some stuff with calculus and showing how calculus is a part of engineering. So I think that would be a pretty cool thing. Okay, guys, let me give you a second. So moving forward, what I will be doing starting at the year, I'm going to come back with a better studio, better production capability. I'm going to be doing the 3D Python with Arduino, and I'm going to be doing the AI and then tying that AI back to hardware. And yes, those are the two things that I'm going to do. The two things that I am thinking about doing and exploring as the year moves on would be to try to do a 3D CAD class tied to a 3D printer. And then also, could I put together this generic, useful, spectacular, wonderful STEM program, and then hope that somehow we could get that into high schools and get people to actually use that. So let me give you a chance to answer some questions. Let's see, Ruby, do you have any plans to update the Jets and Nano series? Not at this point, and I get a lot of really kind, encouraging emails from the guys at NVIDIA. But this is the thing, NVIDIA, our Jets and Nano stuff was OpenCV, and then it was OpenCV combined with like DLib and some face recognition stuff. And so we were doing artificial intelligence in OpenCV, okay? And it's sort of like nice open source stuff. And then we did some really cool stuff in there. But the direction that NVIDIA is going is all into their DeepStream platform. And DeepStream is its own like framework. And they want me to go in and work on the Jets and Nano using DeepStream. But it's like when I look at DeepStream, I just don't understand it. And I take their webinars and I take their classes and I can repeat the demos, but I can't go out and say, oh, wouldn't it be neat if we had something that would be set up at the front gate and anytime you saw a motorcycle come up, it would know, like something like that. I can't make DeepStream do that because DeepStream is too complicated and their tutorials show you how to do a demo, but you don't get the skills where you could go off and do something yourself. And so what I really need from NVIDIA is if they want me to do deep stream, they've got to make it more accessible for a guy that's really smart and a guy that's willing to learn, but not a guy that has a PhD in C#, and understands, all the different, very fundamental low-level things associated with artificial intelligence, like the the TensorFlow and all of those things way, way, way down in the weeds. And so right now, I really don't see pursuing more things with the Jetson Nano until I kind of see a clear path. Like I went this way and NVIDIA went this way, and NVIDIA wants me to go this way, but I can't understand it. So you see, that's kind of the problem that I have with that. Machine learning on Arduino. I really don't think Arduino has the horsepower to do machine learning on that. Okay, Victor says, I've been an engineer for 35 years. I like your programs. Thank you. Really appreciate that. ESP32, everyone always wants me to do that. But the problem with ESP32 is there's so many different hardware platforms and there's so many different software platforms. Like, what are we going to do? ESP32 on the generic board, on the Adafruit board, on the HUSA, on the this, on the that. So many different hardware boards. And then there's like MicroPython, which is different than CircuitPython, which is different than trying to use the Arduino programming environment on the ESP32. So there's so many different hardware platforms, so many different software platforms. And because of that, there's not all of these well-established mature libraries out there. So in Arduino, if I want to use a GPS, well, there's this wonderful library out there for doing that. Or for this pressure sensor, there's a library. There's well-established mature libraries available for everything that you want to do. But on the ESP32, there's so many different hardware platforms, so many different software platforms. There's not just this emerging standard that you can draw on a lot of resources. And so that does exist for the Raspberry Pi. That does exist for the Arduino. I don't think that that exists for the ESP32. That's why I am not doing that right now. FreeCAD with the 3D printer. Well, yeah, the problem, Martin, is, again, how do I get a 3D printer over here? So that's kind of what we talked about earlier in the lesson. What is your primary resource when you learn a Python library? I just poke around. I don't know what to say. There's not a textbook. I just poke around. Okay, Philippe says the metaverse and virtual reality is a big one coming as well. Also, I think a lot of children and students are lost and having a tough time with learning to critically think for themselves. Really, Philippe, I hate to say this, but the public school is not about teaching people to think critically. It's about teaching people to do what they're told. And the institution that the public school is the most like it's most like prison, right? The students are the inmates, the teachers are the guards, and the principal is the warden. And that's what it is. It's about conforming. That if you are in high school, you had better conform. And so public schools are institutions that teach conforming, and they do not like independent thought, and they do not like high energy level. And that's what I loved about teaching. Man, these kids that they call ADHD, or these kids that were trouble kids or problem kids, man, I loved it. Those kids, at least they had some spunk, at least they had some energy, and I could do great things with them. But those types of kids don't do well in the public school, because you're to sit still, you're to be quiet, and you're to do what you're told. And, a lot of particularly young men, you're not just kind of wired to be that way. And so then that leads to people getting designators that there's some sort of problem, like they put some special need designator on them, when really they're just a kid, they're just a boy. It's like a squirrel, that's the way they are. But the public school system isn't really set up for that. And so then the answer is you drug the problem out of them. And so I don't know, man, I would be surprised if half of the kids in high schools these days are on some sort of Ritalin, whatever the sort of make you a zombie drug is. Man, I'm going to get myself in trouble here, aren't I? Okay, so there's a lot of problems with the public school system, and if you have kids, man, you got to really think about, you have got to teach your kids to think critically. You have got to teach your kids to be analytic, because they are not going to get it in the public school system. Okay, do I have any plans for the Raspberry Pi in the future? I would always be willing to consider doing something with the Raspberry Pi. I just don't have a great idea in my mind right now. Okay, man, I probably just offended a lot of people with my rant on the public school system. I'm sorry if I was offensive there, but it's a pretty big mess. Would it be easier for someone outside the USA or Europe to get a job there in data science or embedded system? The problem with computation is it's just about who can do the job at the lowest price, and if I can offshore it to Bangladesh or wherever, and I know there are people from all over, so I'm not being disparaging, but who's going to do the job at the lower cost, and I can outsource that. And so it's sort of like anything that you do in the computer science area, it's sort of like a race to the bottom of who's going to do it at the lowest price, and it's very easy to offshore the jobs. And so it's kind of a tough game that you're getting in. That's why I like things like control systems or analog circuits or something that is hardware related, because the field changes much more slowly and it's much harder to outsource. Okay, so isometric, I haven't kept up with the comments very well here. Okay, so you guys asked some questions. Now let's take a few minutes and let me just ask your questions. I've kind of been rambling here. We're going to need to wrap up in the next 10 minutes because I don't want these things to go over an hour. What do you think about the architecture market? You mean like being an architect, like designing buildings? That's a great thing, but it's so dependent on the economy. Like, well, the economy's taking a downturn. Maybe we're not building buildings. And, sort of like I look at architecture, sort of like I look at aeronautic engineering. How many new big airplanes are going to be built? And, you're kind of getting yourself into a really, really niche thing to where a good, solid electrical engineering, boom, you're always going to have a job. Times are good. They need electrical engineers to design new systems. Times are bad. They need electrical engineers to understand maintenance and getting more life out of old systems. And so I like something where you're going to have job stability and job flexibility and demand for your skills for your whole life. That's why I like electrical engineer. I don't know what PyOPinGol is. Guardian Robotics, what is PyOPinGol? Give me a little more context there. Okay, what are your questions? Let's ask me some questions, and we'll go here. For another 9 minutes. What do you think about the book Python Without Fear? Well, anytime you say a book, I don't like it, because by the time a book is written, it seems like things are already out of date. And I just enjoy like learning. And maybe someday I should just do a lesson on how I learned, like grabbing how to find useful things on YouTube from all the junk that is out there, how to find useful resources on the web, how to be a learner in the year 2022. But I just don't learn anything from books, and I haven't learned anything from a book in the last 10 years as far as technology goes. I love books for other reasons, but not technology. Okay. Will is agreeing with me about the public school system. Okay, Michael, what do you think about the Arduino-based PLC for industrial applications? Haven't really looked into that. Python Open Graphics Library. I have not played with that. Unreal Engine connecting the Arduino. Man, I have thought about the Unreal Engine. And I'm also very interested, like you guys that are on the AI for Everyone, how we did that face mesh. I would love to somehow connect that face mesh to an animation where you could have a virtual version of yourself, whereas that mesh moved, you actually animated a character. And I've looked into it. It's a little bit harder than what I can really get my mind around right now, but I would like to somehow make the Unreal Engine where it's not just the same old run, jump, shoot type of game, but make it a little bit more maybe interactive with the real world, or, make it somehow more of a logic game that you had to use logic and analysis as opposed to just run, jump, shoot. So I do have some things in the back of my mind associated with gaming and associated with the Unreal Engine. Okay, what should I do for college? I'm going to do computer science in high school, but I want to do rocket science and astrophysics. Okay, again, the thing I would warn you about astrophysics and rocket science, there's not that many rockets out there, and there's not that many rocket scientists that are necessarily needed. I did projects for the space station. I did projects for NASA. I sat in the control room for NASA launches. I've been on the launch pad. I haven't gone up in the shuttle, but been on the shuttle. And I did all that as an electrical engineer. And so if you want to work on space things, your chances are much greater of working on space things being an electrical engineer than a rocket engineer. Just again, my 2 cents. Python OpenGL, I've not looked at that. I don't really know anything about that. What do you think about a majority of, let's see, I am losing my, okay, let me see if I can get these comments. Okay, are there any legacy robotics that are still relevant? Yeah, I mean, robotics is a very good field. I think robotics is kind of a combination of mechanical and electrical engineering. That'd be a good career. Information engineering and communication, I think that's good. I would try to really stay tight with the hardware. What should I do to be an embedded systems engineer? Well, to do that, electrical engineering, it sounds like, what's your question? The answer is electrical engineering, but I'm just giving you my opinion. Can you use the MetaHuman from Unreal Engine with the face mesh? Cheaton, that's exactly what I would like to try to figure out how to do. And there's some guys that have done it, but I don't want to just say, oh, go to this guy's site and download his GitHub and then do this thing. I want us to develop it, and I don't know enough right now to show you how to develop it. Philippe says, what do you think about a majority of people's jobs are being replaced by AI and robots? There are more planet being born and less jobs for humans. Thoughts on keeping humans relevant? Yeah. And especially when humans have no relevant skills, right? I mean, like this whole pandemic lockdown thing, I think we learned that most people's jobs really don't matter because they can just stay home. Like if you were sent home for 6 months and no one missed you, you gotta kind of think about that. But you always are going to need humans because humans can do things that machines can't, but you've got to have real skills. And man, I'll tell you, a robot is never going to be able to fix a toilet. A robot is never going to be able to wire a house. And so I think the jobs of the future, Philippe, might be in the trades. And so how hard is it to find an honest plumber? It's very hard to find a competent, honest tradespeople. So I think that some really, really great future career jobs are going to be that might be more associated with like 2-year technical vocational type things. And so I am a great believer in great opportunities in things like being an electrician, a plumber, a diesel mechanic, or a welder. And I think that sounds strange coming from me, but I really think those might be the jobs of the future. In 2022, go back and watch the earlier part of this lesson because I went ad nauseum into what my plans are for next year. Electromagnetic radiation like particles, communication. Yeah, that's good stuff. There are more people being born, more population. Yeah. And we have to keep our skills relevant. In the past, it's just like you kind of like show up and do your job and you would have a job for your career. It's not going to be that simple these days. You are going to have to fight to keep your job. I have a trade school degree in industrial electronics, 0 regrets. Will, I couldn't agree with you more. Electrical maintenance foreman and love it every day. Well, I really think that's the future. I think that the trades are really, really great opportunity. coming up. Philippe, we knew what you were saying, even if your spell checker got you on that. I think we knew what you were saying. Okay, what about aeronautical engineering? It's just, I don't know if in aeronautical engineering, if you are always going to be able to find someone that's going to hire you. I just don't know if there's the good jobs stability there. A large cup of iced coffee, no cream, no sugar. Yes, that's number one. No sugar in your coffee. If you don't learn anything else from me, our time together will not be wasted. Don't put sugar in your coffee or those little packets of cancer-causing sweeteners. LiDAR, I don't have any plans for that right now. OpenCV, love it. I really think electrical engineering, I became rich and famous, if you will, based on nanotechnology, which was mechanical engineering. Even though my degree was in electrical engineering, my work was done in mechanical engineering in microelectromechanical systems. And so electrical engineering, you can work on anything if you have an electrical engineering degree. Let's see. Hello from Pakistan. Okay, welcome. What is the difference between robotics and embedded systems? Well, it's a subtlety. I think embedded systems is an important part of robotics, but embedded system is used on lots of things besides robotics. Okay. Do you think a general computer science degree would apply well to designing industrial application automation solutions? No, I would get some form of control systems under electrical engineering. You got to understand, electrical engineering is a very broad field. It's power generation and distribution, it's telecommunications, it's computation, it's digital design, it's analog design, it's control system. There's like 25 different fields that are wrapped under electrical engineering, and you can kind of specialize in a lot of different areas, all under electrical engineering. Okay, I don't know. I am interested in the Raspberry Pi. I don't have any immediate plans for it. Series on ARM microprocessor, not something I know about. This, I think they're asking about my coffee. So this is sort of an espresso Americano because I had two very, very strong shots of espresso, very hot, poured over ice. And as that hot coffee hit the ice, it melted it, and therefore the ice diluted the espresso so that it's kind of like turned it into what you might say a cold Americano, if that makes sense. Healthcare will be big. Healthcare will be huge. Healthcare, I don't know. To me, it's kind of like the beast. It's kind of like you're becoming part of some sort of beast system. And, I know people, I don't know, it's just this whole thing, you can't talk about this thing on YouTube or they get mad, but this whole thing going on with the pandemic and all that sort of stuff and how it's impacting people in the healthcare system. I have some family and some friends that are really facing very tough decisions in their careers. And I just don't know. If I was going to go into healthcare, what I would go into is biomedical engineering, be the guy designing the MRI machine or being the guy designing things. I would not want to be part of the health delivery system, if that makes sense. Okay, no sugar cream always. That's good. Hard to get people out from behind the desk to do trade work. That is exactly right, Arlo. And that's the opportunity that if you're a guy that can actually go in and do something, you have a lot of leverage if you have a skill to work with your hands. And I really think that's where the future is. What do you think about composite manufacturing? I think it's interesting. However, Paul is close to nature, so has good natural health. Actually, yeah, almost everything I eat, I grow myself. And the stuff that I buy is like, every morning in the little village here, they butcher a cow and, I go down and say, I'd like that part there. Yeah, that little part along the back. We call it a filet mignon, but it's just another piece of meat here. And so it would be kind of like grass-fed organic meat that I eat, or run down to the river, wave at the little guy and his boat out there comes over, buy a fresh fish from him. And so everything I eat is completely natural and organic. And I don't mean to be pretentious, but I just don't get sick. You know, I haven't been to, in the last 40 years, I've been to the doctor maybe 2 times. I can't even think. I don't ever remember ever taking an antibiotic in my life. And so there is an alternate view of how you live your life where maybe you don't be so dependent on high-tech medical system. Okay, what about biomedical? And I think biomedical engineering would be a great one. Yes. I would be an electrical engineer. Yes. My second choice would be biomedical engineer. My third choice would be a robotic engineer. Those are the areas that I think would be really really great. I could tell you sound like a robot. Not sure what you mean by that, Mr. Richard. How does your Arduino course cover advanced Arduino coding? I'm on lesson 25. I don't know what you mean by advanced. I went pretty far with that in those 68 lessons. Hold your breath, get the things done. Love that. Yep, got to hold your breath. Got to say boom when things work. Got to not put sweetener in your coffee. Those are the things that really matter in life. What are your views on data analytic field? Man, it's just not very much fun to me. It might be big, but it's not very interesting. So why do you say that I sound like a robot? Stop saying that or explain what you mean. Will organic 3D printing be the future of medicine? That's a good question. I don't really know. What's the difference between Arduino and other microcontrollers? Well, really, it's just the user base for Arduino allows you to leverage into a whole lot of cool stuff. Do you still use ham radios? I sold all my ham stuff because I found that a lot of the ham guys were kind of grumpy old curmudgeons, and I didn't enjoy that grumpiness that is in that field very much. And so I got into it really for I was using like Ethernet over the ham bands, and I was doing it for very specific things. But sitting around and jawboning with some of the ham guys was not very much fun. Now, also, some of the nicest people I ever met in my life were ham guys, and there's some of the nicest people in the world are ham guys, but it's kind of like the grumpy old ham Nazis, I think, sort of have killed that field for everyone else. I don't know what a LottePend is. I've not worked with that. RC hobby, I think RC is a great thing to be in, but don't just run things, build things, like build the airplane, do things where you're learning, not just using the technology. Okay, let's see. Thank you for all you do. Well, I appreciate that. Practical medical doctor here. Practicing medical doctor here. Hey, Tala, learning Arduino Pi 3D printing from your channel for biomedical engineering. Hey, that is really great. Tala, love hearing that. I think it would be great, just great to kind of get more of a hands-on understanding of technology sometimes among the caregivers. And so I think that is really, really great. Keep us updated on what you're thinking and what you're doing there, Tala. That is great. Graphene, man, I am really, really interested in graphene. I actually got the stuff to try to build some supercapacitors once, but I just never got into it. I think something like graphene, that type of thing could genuinely be something that changes the world. Because if you really, the reason we don't have practical flying cars, it's just like, if you look at a drone, a flying car, just put bigger motors on it. But the reason it's not practical is the battery technology is too heavy. And, something like graphene could be a game changer on flying cars. And then flying cars would be a game changer on everything else, because then you get rid of the congestion. And so graphene could be something that changes the world if it does lead to like a practical supercapacitor as a replacement for a battery. Okay, my grandpa is a grumpy old ham guy. Okay, well, be nice to your grandpa. I'm sure your grandpa is okay. Just passing by to say, hey, okay, Gustav, thank you. Battery, Pascal. Hey, Pascal, I have to leave. Okay, Pascal, thanks for tuning in. Always good to see you. Hopefully we'll see you in 2022 on those other lessons. Okay, guys, we have gone over the hour mark, which I don't like to do. You guys let me know if there's interest maybe between now and January when I get those lessons going. Again, if you guys are interested in periodically having a live chat, let me know. I don't want to waste your time. I feel like I'm just kind of rambling here, but it's our chance to interact a little bit more, me get a little bit more direct feedback from you guys. And so if you guys would like to see more of these live streams, please let me know, and we'll see if we can get these started again. And then, like I say, I hope to see you guys starting in the first week of January or the second week of January, getting back to our old AI for Everyone series and our Python with Arduino series. Okay, guys, I think I am going to sign out now, and I really appreciate it. If you like this, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't, and share these lessons with people. Like, let's see, let's try to get this stuff into the high schools. Let's try to get more people doing this stuff, because the world needs more coders and more engineers and fewer people sitting around playing video games and watching silly cat videos. This is Paul McWhorter with TopTechBoy.com. I will talk to you guys later.